All right. Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And excuse me, I have to take some water because
Okay,
I'm interviewing Tony again from
I'm
Sovereign
back.
Productions 369. Some of you guys were like, have him back on. He's already been spewing some truth that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to press record. So today what
Okay.
we're going to be talking about is how they tricked us, when they tricked us. We're not even sure when, but we're going to talk a little bit about the hypnotizing that they do to us. And then I
Hmm.
do want to talk about debt and trust so people can understand those three things. But Tony, so a lot of you were talking a lot about how they hypnotize us, and you were saying that you're not sure when this started. So when
Yeah.
this trickery started, because so can you share a little bit more about what you were just sharing with me?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just run back what we were just talking about, kind of right when you were like trying to get me to pinpoint a exact time when kind of the fake stories kind of were let out into the public and kind of preached as actual facts. And so the problem with that is that when you start to look into the history books, I think that's one of the first mistakes that we make is because they already gained control of not only the curriculum that's in the schools that they've been teaching everybody, but also all of the history books and things like that. They've already been tainted. So you're going to have these people writing themselves into history inside of the books that they're putting on the desks of all of our children, right? So, and that's the only reason why everybody talks about any of this nonsense as if it's actual facts, is because somebody else is there and they know that information too. So when we have a conversation about it, you just accept it as facts without any real basis for that, aside from the fact that you can point to it in a book that was created by people that purposely meant to mind control you. You know
So
what I
how do
mean?
you, yeah, exactly. But how do you know that the book isn't true?
We don't know, but how do you know that the book is true? That's the thing,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. And
So
also,
the
go
thing
ahead.
is this is that and because I study law, I always approach anything in the sense of would I be able to prove it in court? And so when you start to look at things like that, it pretty much seems like everything is a bunch of nonsense because they really couldn't prove any of that in court. And that, I mean, also goes with the Bible and things like that. Sorry to all the Christians, but in our reality, you couldn't really prove any of that shit in court if you really had to. If your life depended on it, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, yeah. I have a very different belief about Christianity now, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different topic. So, but what I
Yeah,
want to
I just
talk
wanted
about,
to briefly touch on that. Maybe it's a little bit of my
yes, it's
animosity
it's about
for my
control.
traumatization with it.
It's about control. It is all about control. And when
Yeah,
you feel like you're a victim and you need to be saved, you will be controlled. That's the whole control
exactly.
system. So back, I just want to talk back again. The book that I always highlight is The
The
Enemy
enemy
Unmasked.
unmasked.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys, this goes back to the Vatican. This is all what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Palestine is all about the Zionists, the British imperialists. It's not about these wonderful, beautiful people, Israeli and Palestine people. Those are
Mhm.
just people like you and me. They just want their family to be safe. They want to put food on the table. They want, to be happy and to be loved and all of it, just like regular people. But the people who are in charge of it all are the Zionists, the Jesuits, the empire that is trying to run everybody. So I just want to remind everybody of that, especially what is going on in Israel right now. And bringing it back to this story, Tony, let's talk more about the system that we know of as the birth certificate and somebody's trust. Can you
Okay.
explain what those two things are? Would you?
Yeah, so the certificate, I think, kind of came into play in the sense where they were kind of putting liens on them in order to monetize them to be able to allow the country to continue in commerce. And this all happened around, I mean, according to the history books, and we just talked about that. But if we're going to talk about how they have it set up for us to believe this came into play, was in 1933 with the rescission of the gold clause. And so this put this country into a position of not only bankruptcy, but needing to figure out a way to have a monetary system in order to just keep everything going in general. So at that point, they went ahead and monetized the certificates from all of the people that were born. I think, I mean, it might have even been always happening. But so anyway, they monetize these things, I guess, based on the amount of money that you may or may not make, right? So when you look at the word, you can see exactly what it is. So it's basically and all of these are getting sold in the stock market, which is when you look at animals are usually referred to as stock, and then bondage when you talk about the bonds and the bondage associated with that, because essentially what they're doing, a bond is a promise to pay, which essentially bonds you and binds you into that particular contract. so so they use these things to basically create money and take loans against from the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a privately owned for-profit bank. Okay, so they're basically hawking all of the people essentially. But keep in mind, it's never really about you. Okay, because there is a clear separation between that piece of paper and the live living you. But they like us to
Mhm.
have this connection with it as if that paper is us and ever was us. It's not. Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't owe anything. You don't owe these people anything. That piece of paper does. It's not really you. So keep that in mind too when they drag you into court and they try to take your kids and all of these things. What they're really making reference to is the pieces of paper that make reference to your kids. Those are the only things that they have jurisdiction over, not your physical, tangible children. Okay, and this is how they're able to steal people and kidnap and traffic their kids that way. And this is what they're doing, and how they're using the system to do that.
Yeah, so basically when you go into a court and you say, yes, I am Michelle Melendez, yes, that is who I am, you're basically saying you're taking claim to that fictitious entity. But if I stand there and say, no, I'm a living woman, I'm
Yeah,
not Michelle, that is my name, but that's not who I am. And your
yeah,
children, Sally, Joe, and whoever, uh,
yeah,
they're claiming that they're talking about the paper that has their name on it, not that
exactly,
living child. And
exactly.
and I do want to specify child, not kid, because kid is a baby goat. So your
Yeah,
children are not baby goats; they are children. They're
yeah,
not
and they're
kids. So I
usually
just want to
used for
say
like
that.
sacrificial purposes, even at that, if they're referred to as a kid. So
Yes.
yeah, and so but when you go into court, it's not that big of a deal to give them your name. The thing is that you need to get in the habit of asking them the correct questions in order to back them into a corner. Because when you look at it like it's a game of chess, and basically what you need to do is ask them the right questions to make them say what it is and who it is that they really are, right? So you really want to get down to the bottom of the fact, which is what is it? What is the cause and nature of the actions that are being taken against me, right? Because what you need them to say is that it's a maritime jurisdiction, and this is the only place that they have jurisdiction against you. And maritime all has to do with contracts. So you need to fish around and figure out which contract it was that even brought you in front of them in the first place, so that way you can just wipe it out. Because keep in mind that since we're operating under a commercial system, you have the right to back out of any contract at any point that you realize it's not benefiting you anymore. So that's what these people were supposed to be put in place for, and they somehow managed to brainwash not only the police but also us to believe that they're actually something else. When literally the name public servant tells you exactly who it is that they are, but they still carry this weird ass attitude and look at you like you're a psychopath when you put them in their place. That shit is ridiculous.
Yeah, I love yes. So talking about the court system and understanding, I had somebody say that when you go into civil court, that's all contracts. When criminal court, that is harm to someone or financially or physically. But going into a civil court, saying who is
It's
holding
all
what
civil.
contract, what
It's all
contract do you
civil.
have against it, what contract do you have against me, something like
Hmm.
that. So since we are talking about contracts, people, I did an interview with Captain Matt. He's a fire captain and he's been studying this stuff for a long time. And we were talking about the IRS, and people started freaking out because we were saying
Hmm.
to get out of your contract with the
Hmm.
IRS. We didn't say stop paying taxes. We said get out of your contract with the IRS because it
Yeah.
is voluntary. Can you tell us a little bit more can you talk a little bit more about that?
About the IRS and contracts.
Yes.
Yeah, so the IRS is part of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, right? And so these are the people who basically control the currency in general. And so their job is basically to tax anybody that's utilizing uh, fiat currency, Federal Reserve notes, and things like that. So if you ever come into contact with any of those types of instruments, because all of those are securities, then you're going to be liable for a tax. It really is as simple as that. But the main thing is that you need to understand that when they send you a bill, I mean, I actually have a couple books on Amazon, and I believe I sent you a few of them that show you the concept of turning your bills into a money order in order to send them back to the Treasury Department for them to offset it by using the exemption associated with your birth certificate, right? So you never have to look at a bill as if they literally want you to pull money out of your pocket that you work for and give it to them. All that they want is your endorsement on that particular paper because your signature is the value and they need you to send it back to them. That's all that it really is about. But if you want to talk about contracts and being able to get out of them, you know, I just went over your right to exit any contract if you don't feel that it's for your benefit. Now, when people first started paying taxes, when you look at that little W on the W-4, I believe it is that we sign when we go to get a job, the W stands for war. Okay, so these people created
That's right.
these people created that particular fund. The W-4 was for a war contribution when they said that they were going to go to war with whoever the hell it was back in the 30s or 40s or whatever. And then they brainwash people into thinking that it was patriotic to pay them to go kill people that are not really a threat to us. All right. So every time you pay on a W-4 and you pay your little contributions in there, you know, you shouldn't wonder why you're seeing wars on TV because that's what you're paying for. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So everybody's making a choice here. It just needs to be a educated choice, I think, that people should make, and maybe it'll be a different one.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I did not know that about the W on the W,
Yeah.
but it's true that back in the 30s when it
Hmm.
was World War II, they started taxing people and they got people to do it because of the war.
Yeah, it's
Please help fund
voluntary.
this so that, yeah. So it was totally 100% voluntary and the people knew it was voluntary at that
Yep.
time. And then when people came back, it was like, oh, let's keep this going because now this is
Hmm.
helping such and such and such. And some people were saying before, oh, but don't our taxes pay for the roads and pay for
No.
this? And so what would you say to that if somebody's asking about that?
I would say no. So what really pays for all that type of stuff is the state taxes and things like that. That's what's going to go toward like the roads and things like that. And also they pull the funds out of this supposed budget that they're always talking about, which is unlimited. What they're really doing is just coming up with a number that they think is fair to call a budget, but that doesn't mean that that's all the money that they have. That's just what they were willing to set aside for whatever actions that they planned on taking within a certain community. But you know, if you live there and you're on like the tax roll and things like that, and you're a voter, they already have access to all of your trust, and so that's how they're creating the budgets for whatever it is that they want to do. So you know, it does benefit them to make you believe that you do need them and that you need to fear you know, leaving your house, that you need these government entities in place because that's going to make you more willing to go ahead and pay that tax willingly.
Absolutely. So you just mentioned trust. So tell us like the trust is created by the birth certificate. Is that right?
Right. So that's all held at what's called the DTC, Depository Trade Corporation, and these are the people who hold everybody's BC bonds and things like that. And then it's what do you call it? It's a it's administered through the Treasury Department and the IRS, which pretty much is one and the same. So the IRS basically deals with the books for the Treasury. And so I always think it's funny when people are scared of the IRS because I deal with them all the time and they always do their job correctly. You got to keep in mind that we've been interacting with them the wrong way. And that's why, you know, everybody's been getting these horror stories from all of the bullshit. Like whenever you decide to just opt out and not pay these people after you already agreed to, that's the problem. And so that's how you're going to end up in a problem because you didn't properly exit that contract. And so
Correct.
yeah, and I mean it's just a couple of documents, you know, a couple affidavits, rescission of the taxpayer status, and you'll be fine.
Yes. So just so you guys, I just did this. I just did this last month, and then I got a check back. If the IRS, if I did something wrong, I would have gotten a letter saying
Right.
you need to pay this da 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 because you are
Exactly.
whatever. But I didn't get anything back that told me what I did was wrong, and in fact they gave me a check. And Tony was saying that's probably what they owed me when I told him this story.
Yeah,
So
more than likely.
So tell us about now how come the trust is unlimited? Because I think you said something about trust being unlimited, or was it the
Yeah, it is unlimited. It is
you
unlimited because so like these people are picking numbers to value the bonds, and they're just picking numbers. You know what I mean? And numbers are endless. Like, so who's the one that says it can only be worth up to a certain amount? These people convinced us somehow to play small and devalue ourselves with these things like minimum wages and shit like that. That's what's making everybody think that that's what they're worth. So that's what you're gonna go out there and ask for. And that's why a number like 200 million seems like it's way more than you're worth, because they programmed us to believe that we're not worth that much. When in all reality, this whole world's movement as far as currency goes is based on the value of the people. So that's how valuable that you are. And look, if you don't believe it, if you look at the national debt and multiply that, divide that through how many people are in the country, that's how much you're technically worth. Because all look, so the whole national debt is actually due back to us. Like, you guys may recall back in the days when we used to write a check, right, and send it to the store, and it would get processed and go to the bank, and they would cancel it and send it back to you because it has to return to source, because you were the source of that particular fund in that transaction. So all of the national debt is actually payable to the people of the United States. It's not something that we owe. That shit is owed to us.
Oh my gosh, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's amazing.
literally,
That is
literally.
amazing. So you
So
help
that's why you're
people. Oh, go ahead.
able. So that's why you're able to offset all of these debts, because you still hold the books on the private side. So on the public side, it looks like we owe all that, and that's what they're flashing out there to the public. But we have unlimited credit over here on the private side. At any point that we decide that we're going to cancel that debt out, all you got to do is snap your fingers and it's done. Like,
So
in the
tell,
Wizard of Oz, when they told you to click your heels three times to go back home.
yep.
Yes. So that has to do with truth in lending and the Uniform Commercial Code. So basically, you would just have to lock them into your position on an administrative level, basically sending the mail. There's a process to it. If anybody wants the process, you can let me know of how to default them into your position, and then make your stipulations legally binding. And so you would have to send them a series of three different letters, and that's what would bind them into your particular stipulations.
So I'm going to change your name to is it okay if I give people your email?
Yeah.
Okay, so email to it's
But I'm
Tony
not
at
answering crazy questions. If you guys
no,
want like
yeah,
certain books
no.
and things like that, you can do that. But I don't have time to read a whole paragraph and then answer that. Like,
So because you know what I'm going to do instead is I'll put it in the description instead of putting it here, because Tony he does help people get out of debt. So can you explain how do you, if somebody's $10,000 in debt, how would you get them out of that debt using their own trust that the government is using
yeah.
anyway?
So when you look at your social security numbers, there's a few different ways that you can use them. So we're used to using them in where we put the two dashes in between the numbers in the middle, right? So you go 1, 2, 3 dash, 4, 5, and then dash, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you use your social security number in that fashion, basically what you're doing is applying for credit. Okay, so that's what you do to do that. Now, when you want to discharge any of those particular accounts, you would have to create a money order by using the bottom of the bill voucher, and you would put your social security numbers without dashes. So that would be 1 through 9 without dashes, just a straight sequence of numbers. And that's what you do to discharge and use it as a closed account. And also to access the decedent estate portion of it, which is basically the actual trust, you would have to put the numbers down in the form of an EIN. So it would be 1, 2 dash, and then the rest of the numbers, and then that's how you access that particular portion of it. So you can use it in three different ways.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. How many people have you helped do this?
A lot, a lot.
And who was the first house that you got discharged? You got
My
their mortgage.
mom's,
Can you
my
tell us the
mom's. I
story
used
about that?
It's actually a funny story. So look, so when it comes to discharging houses, it's not always a straightforward. You hand them a paper and the shit's done. It really doesn't work like that at all. But it's usually a little more complicated. But this is what happened, and this was the first house that I ever did. So I filed the documentation, sent it off to the Treasury Department, And within like a couple months, she got a call from the title holding company, and they asked her if she wanted to come pick it up. And but she never told me about it. And then and she was like, "Oh no, send it in the mail." So they send it in the mail. 2 weeks later, she tells me, she's like, "Hey, do you know that?" And this was like when I was just practicing. And she's like, "Hey, do you know that they already sent me the title in the mail?" I'm like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "Oh, because I thought it was fraud. I thought it was fraud." So she thought it was fraud, but did it anyway. Bless this woman, huh? So anyway, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, are they still sending you bills? And she's like, no, they stopped sending me the paper bills too. And so it wasn't just a straightforward thing either, because there's a little bit more to that story, but I'm not going to share that right now.
That's awesome. That is
But it is
amazing.
funny as hell. But yeah,
That
so
is,
but it doesn't always work like that. It's
yeah.
not always as simple as that.
Yes, yes, and that's the trickery too, you guys. This is going to take work. You know, this doesn't. I've been telling you, you have to comprehend and really understand. I don't like to use the word understand, but really study this stuff. On my Freedom School, I have the
Yeah.
documents that I've sent to the Secretary of State, telling her
Mm-hmm.
that and I have the right to discern who I am and what I am, and I'm no longer a U.S. citizen under the 14th Amendment. I've also uploaded some of my documents to the IRS. I have to change one other, take off some of my private information on the other one to
Mm-hmm.
send that in. But this is the stuff that we've done. And it's different for, not everybody's is going to be straightforward, so you do need to understand or comprehend
Yeah,
this
it is
information.
individual.
So let's also talk about the mind control and the hypnosis that they've put everybody under, because there is a
Yeah,
hypnosis of fear.
so I just want to touch briefly on like what you were just talking about.
Oh
And
yeah,
so the
please.
best thing to do in order to be, because everything's commercial, okay? All of these government agencies, from the police department to the people in city hall, these are all privately owned for-profit corporations, okay? Maybe they know that, maybe they don't, but that's what the case is. And so you're not ever going to really pull yourself out of the system in a sense where you're not going to be coming into contact with these people. And so for that reason, I recommend just doing the UCC1 and the UCC3, which is a private trust security agreement. That way, if you look at it like a big game of Monopoly, and this way you're able to basically move your Monopoly piece, be it your all capital name, and be able to operate in the public without worrying about anything detrimental happening to you, because you're already commercially secure. What they call that is the secure party. Okay.
Wow.
So I mean, I just wanted to touch on that, because there really is nothing to fear when you know who it is that you are, and then you have a contract in place, because everything is about contracts, and the private trust contract supersedes any of the nonsense that these people could ever say to you. Because keep in mind that these are all public servants trying to engage you in such a fashion that you don't know that you're the one funding the whole nonsense with your with your consent, without even realizing that you're consenting
Yes.
to
Yeah.
something that you
The
don't
trickery.
have to. Yeah, to
Yeah,
something that you don't have to. And I mean, a
exactly.
big part of it is that they have all the police brainwashed the same way that they have everybody else brainwashed. So keep in mind, this is not a conversation to have with somebody on the side of a road that's armed and really believes that what he's doing is true. Because on a certain level, I don't believe that all of them really know what they're doing. I think a lot of
Mhm.
them just looking for a paycheck, and they have a quota and they do whatever they have to do. You know what I mean? And I mean,
Mhm.
the shit is sad what people would even do for that freaking monopoly money. And I mean, it
Mhm.
literally is that monopoly money.
Yes, and there on the Freedom School there is a example of a citation that you can get how you can get your citations dismissed. So this is not legal advice. This is for information only, and if you use it, you have to know what you're doing. But it is there on the Freedom School, and I just invite you guys just to keep learning this information. This has been hidden from us for a reason, because when we are not when we don't comprehend what's happening, we are easy to control. That's why fear, that's why
Mm-hmm.
they want to keep us in fear, because we are easy to control. Oh, I don't want to stop doing the IRS because I'll go to jail. What is that? Fear. And then
Mm-hmm. Right.
they also train us with the illusion of scarcity. When you look at
Yeah.
nature, it is overly abundant. One of our trees like gives us so much fruit and then keeps giving us fruit every single year. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
just so much food. So that's the way we are meant to be. You know, so I can tell you some magical stories about how I've brought abundance to me in my life by just the feeling of joy and of knowing it's going to work out and not knowing
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to work out. But Tony,
Absolutely.
what would you say? Well, first off, what would you say about that? And then I do want to talk a little bit about how they've
About
hypnotized
what?
us. About how they've
Manifesting?
hypnotized us. What?
What would I say about what? Manifesting?
Yeah, manifesting and then how they've hypnotized
Yeah.
us.
So like
Yeah.
a big part of it, and when I started to notice how things would just basically come to me was when I started eating a little bit healthier, and I started taking certain elements like sulfur, iodine, and things like this, which what it was doing was increasing my magnetism, which is what magic is, okay? Magic is not something bad. It has to do with magnetism. It's right in the word, okay? So but you know, before you start doing things like this, I would recommend that you put yourself into a better place mentally, because when you fix yourself into a position where you're literally a magnet, what's going to happen is that whatever you think about, you're going to bring into your life. And I mean, really, that's what we do anyway. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you expect out of life is what's going to fall right in your lap. And so maybe it was something that you were thinking about a couple of months ago, but you were really heavily thinking about it and totally forgot about it. And then it happened. You know what I mean? This is the way it works. And so, yeah, just put yourself into a good place, correct your magnetism, and that's by not eating a lot of sugar and things like that. It's going to put you into a really magnetic place. And that's how you're able to manifest things by, and I mean, it just goes faster and faster. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, a big part of it is the feeling. Okay. And you kind of have to trick yourself into believing that you have something that you don't, right? Because the way that the universe works is this, is that everything's connected. Separation is a freaking illusion. Okay. So the way that it works is this, is that like the same feeling that you get when you go get a brand new car is the same feeling that you have to have when you want a brand new car, because the way that the universe works is it just gives you whatever signals that you're putting out, and it has to match that with whatever you think is associated with that feeling. So the same feeling that you would have, and I mean, how would you know? The same feeling that you would have if you had $1 million, you have to feel like that, you have to act like that, you have to walk like that, and know that it already is, and then it has to become. And then the biggest thing is you not worrying about how the hell it's going to happen, because it'll happen in a way that you never thought it would happen. So you got
Yeah,
to get
that's
that out of
right.
the way too. Just know that this shit is going to happen, and it will.
Yeah, so here's just a quick example. When I had a dream to go to Australia and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was teaching 15 classes. I didn't have a trainer to come and sub for me. I didn't have the money. And I just
Mm-hmm.
started getting into this really high vibration. And I was like doing mirror work where I'd stand in front of the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Australia in complete
Yeah.
abundance. All my classes,
Affirmations.
like totally, I could feel it. And I was jumping up and down, like super, super excited. Like 3 weeks before I was supposed to go, a trainer that I had hired, my first trainer ever, who I hadn't seen in years, calls me and says, Michelle, I just quit my job. Do you have any classes for me to teach? This private
Wow.
client contacted me and said, we want to hire you for 3 months. We'll pay up front. Like
Ooh,
all this stuff started happening. And like I couldn't,
that's fucking
and my
awesome.
others, one of the things I love to say is I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to work out.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I get to watch things unfold
Hell
in a
yeah.
way in that is the best for me, and I don't have to figure this out. So I get to
Right.
watch it as it unfolds for me. And
Exactly.
that's what our power is. But Tony, tell us
Yeah.
about
Belief.
how they've hypnotized us to keep us in fear and to keep us in scarcity. How have
So
they
they
hypnotized us?
literally, so you can hypnotize people a freaking lot of ways, and they employ all of the ways. They're not even just using any one certain tactic. So you can get hypnotized with a certain series of colors, numbers, letters, and things like that. So they took over all of the news stations. They were hypnotizing everybody with the formats that they were using in the newspapers. They literally put like you can even find a lot of like ancient symbols mixed into different like labels and brands that you find on like soda, milk, and things like that. There's be, because they own them all, right? So even
Mm-hmm.
though they have different labels and things like that, there's really only a handful of companies that make all of the food that we eat, all of the content that we take in, and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so they set everything up in such a way that you're literally being hypnotized with whatever you look at. And so that's how everybody's falling back in. So and I mean you're gonna go through that too, where when you start to and I mean it actually wears off faster when you know what it is that's happening. So when you study neuro linguistic programming, right, you're gonna
Hmm.
start to see that when you watch the news and things like that, they speak in a certain fashion and put words into a certain sequence because they're reading off of a teleprompter. So everything that they're reading is in such a way that you're being hypnotized to believe all of the bullshit. And then also, with just repetition in general, that's gonna sink into your mind. And then they're also putting subliminal words into like music, different commercials, and things like that too, on such a low frequency that we can't hear, but our body is taking that frequency of the words in.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to show you guys this one thing. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm going to do a quick screen share because I want to show you guys
Yeah,
the
like when you
monster
look at the
drink.
Disney, yeah, or even Disney, it's got the three sixes right in there in Disney. It's because the sixes hypnotize you too.
Because yeah, the drink, the monster drink, the energy drink
Oh
monster,
shit! Look at yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is this is the monster symbol, right? Well, this is Hebrew. This is the letter 666 in Hebrew. The letter
yeah.
he this is the letter.
Yeah, and if
Or-
you look up Disney, it's got the same sixes in there. If you look up Disney 666, then you'll see the picture right there. It'll be in red.
Uh,
They have it circled in red to like be able to stand out.
oh, I can't find it.
But you might got to go
Oh,
into images up top.
okay. I don't know. Oh, images. Okay.
Yeah, images.
Um, oh, that's right. One, two, three, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yep. And
But they should have
also,
it. You see over on the right side, they have them.
oh
They have them
yeah.
all
Oh,
red.
it's right here. Oh,
See, yeah.
there it
So they,
is.
yeah. So they throw those sixes in everywhere, and that's meant to hypnotize you.
Yeah,
That's
Disney
what that
also had
is.
another
And they
one
have
as
everybody
well.
so scared of even the sixes, right? And so what they're trying to do is trigger a emotional response from you by using the sixes, and everybody thinks 666 is bad. There is no good or bad number, okay? There's just numbers, and then there's what you think. You know what I mean?
That's true because we are meaning makers. That's what we are. It was
Yeah,
like there's no
correct.
meaning unless you give it meaning.
Yeah, if
So
you
that's
let them
true.
set the narrative, of course they're gonna make it a scary one, but it really isn't. And then like another big one is how scared of death that they have everybody. I think
Hmm.
that's the biggest misconception, the whole concept of death and how they make it such a bad thing when it's one of the only things that are guaranteed in this life. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you even take it there like that? You know what I mean? And then everybody's so scared of it as if they thought they were ever gonna make it out alive anyway. Come on,
Right,
cut it out.
right,
Cut it
right.
out.
This is a game. I always tell people this is a
Yeah,
game. We are in a simulation for our soul. This is all a
that's
game.
what
There
it is.
is, I really do feel that evil has
Supposed to be
either
fun.
hijacked or it's just part of the, yes, it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's
It's
supposed to be
supposed to be
fun.
fun.
Not supposed to be scary like that.
Exactly. But when you're in fear, you're easy to control. And
Yes.
that's what this evil empire of this, all the way from Catholicism, all the way back in the 1500s, the
Yeah.
whole empire that they created, all of the secret societies are all designed to keep us in fear and to
Yeah.
destroy, just to destroy freedom. So
Well,
let's,
it's because when they put you into a fear frequency, remember, like I was telling you, what ends up happening is that you get traumatized, and they're creating fractal personalities. It's called the butterfly effect. All right, and that's what's happening. So they're creating essentially schizophrenic multi personality disorders. Okay, just by the way that they put everybody in fear, and also
yeah.
it allows them to be able to program you easier because whenever your body is triggered in such a way that you're scared, you're like whatever's going on is going to get burnt into your brain, and that's something that
Mhm.
you'll never forget. So
Yes.
they always take the opportunities to put out like a fake mass shooting or some shit like that, and then they'll put on a commercial of what they want you to buy after. Like that's how sick these people are. You know what I mean? And then you're
Yes.
gonna have that item burnt in your brain associated with that particular action, but on a subconscious level, you're more likely to go out and buy that product now without even realizing that they burnt it into your brain.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
crazy.
Every single one of us, being a human being, we're living in trauma. We have a
Yeah.
body that is filled with trauma. So, well, that's fantastic, Tony. Thank you all so much for this information. Is there anything else you want to share on this topic? Because I know we could go on and on, but I want to honor
The
your time.
brainwashing, I mean, that's about it. I mean, so they use numbers and letters and colors and pretty much every possible angle that they could use to put people in fear and to hypnotize you. That I mean, they don't hold back on anything. There,
Yeah. So
everything's out there.
let's realize that this is there is evil in there. The main high ups right now are running the world. The people who are destroying Israel and Palestine and wanting this whole huge war, it's not Israel, it's these people that have been running everything. And they have controlled the media. And we as human beings, as living men and living women, actually I'd rather just say living men and living women,
Mhm.
created by God. It's our kuleana, it's our responsibility to learn this stuff and get ourselves out of the system and be
Yeah.
brave enough to say, no, I'm not going to play this game with you guys anymore. I'm going to play the game of freedom and love. I'm going to love my fellow human being, my living man and women neighbor,
Mhm.
and that's what's going to save the world, you guys. It's cleaning up your shit. If you are, having an argument with somebody, really see how you can clean it up. What can you take responsibility for? How can you be
Yeah.
the bigger person to come forward? That's what's going to save us, as well as getting and actually understanding how to get out of the system. So Tony's email is going to be in the description. He does help people with debt, really, with mortgages, and how to get out of and how to get out of those. So, and in a legal, lawful way that is already
Yeah,
our
it's actually the
birthright.
way it's the way that we're supposed to be operating, because every time that we use any of the Federal Reserve notes, it actually costs the country $10 for every $1 that we use. Like that's how high the interest rate is. So really we are supposed to be creating our own money using whatever method that you choose. And technically, the treasury is supposed to just take whatever we send them. If we write money on a fucking sticky note and send it to them, they have a legal obligation to take that and treat it just like money. But do they? Absolutely not. So there is a certain fashion that we make these instruments in, that when we send it to them, they actually take them and process them. And so to
Yes.
keep in mind, and so this is not about saving the world either. I don't want anybody to think that that's what my plan is. I just want to share some information, because this is really an individual thing. I mean, it would be enormous feat to try to save the world. Uh, and so, but like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm sharing all the information that I come across on my path to wherever it is that I end up. I kind of have a vision of where I want to go, but me knowing the way that the universe works, I'm gonna end up where I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But on the
Yeah.
way to wherever I'm going, I'm leaving all of these breadcrumbs, because I think that they're crucial for people to be able to understand what it is that we're actually in, and how this world actually works.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, because my archetype of my trauma, birth trauma, is a rescuer. So I thought when Lahaina went
No,
down,
we're
I was like,
gonna we're
oh,
gonna
I think
pull
I
you
could
out of
help
that.
everybody. But yeah, just doing one step at a time, trying to
It's all
wait,
about you. It's
awaken
individual,
people.
right? And
Yes,
when
my
people,
own
yes,
journey, because
and
you've
when people
taught me
start to
so much,
see
so
you
many
changing,
things.
and all of the good things that come with that, then that makes them want to change. But it isn't about
Absolutely.
trying to rescue anybody, because you can't.
That's
You really
true.
can't.
That's true. I know. Yeah, I see that. I see that. And knowing that we can also make a difference, and stepping up for what is right, not what is easy. And that is our
Hmm.
own journey as well. Are we courageous to step up, to write our affidavits, to, send in our FOIAs to the Hawaii government, asking them to give us proof of
All you
legit.
gotta do is put them on notice. You don't have to ask them for anything. You just put them on notice using a administrative process, because all of these places are just administrative corporations. So you just treat them accordingly. You just have to put them on notice. You don't have to ask them anything, because you already know what it is. You know what I mean?
It's true.
But
Yeah.
like just like yeah, but I mean, so just in general, you cannot save anybody, and that's what I've seen. And there was a funny YouTube video that I saw where like this dude kept pulling the sheep out of a hole, right? And he'd pull them out, and the sheep would run in a circle and jump right back in the hole. So like this is how programmed that we are, and this is why you can't save anybody. Because look, check this out. So if I was a cat and I was tied to a pole for my whole life, and the only way that I could walk was in circles because I was tied to that pole, if somebody came and took the leash off my neck, I would still only be able to walk in circles, because that's all that my brain knows how to do. So this is what you're dealing with: burnt in ingrained actions and habits and things like that people need to get themselves out of. That's not something that like you could fix. You couldn't just approach that cat and tell him to walk straight now. He only knows how to walk in circles.
That's true. And yeah, until you slowly teach him and give him treats and say, "Hey,
Yeah,
look at this." And that's what we're
but it's
doing.
if
We're
they
giving you
want
guys
it.
some treats.
Yeah, facts,
We're
facts.
like, "Look over here. Look over here.
Yeah.
Take one step.
I think it'll reach
One
a
step."
bunch of people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I do.
I do too. Thank you so much for your time. Well, let's do a quick prayer and then I'll let you go. And
All
I'm
right.
so grateful that to have to met you and then also I have gotten in touch with some Lahaina people. We're gonna because Tony's services are free to Lahaina survivors. So Lahaina, you guys are not forgotten. We are still, we still hold you in our hearts and we're still standing for you. So Tony has offered all free services to Lahaina survivors to
Well,
just
it's not all free. So for mortgages, I'll do
yeah,
that
mortgages.
for like burnt houses. And I just wanted to get this clear too, because I got a couple emails from people asking for services that didn't really apply. So it's not for like UCC filings or nothing like that. But if you have, if you were in that situation and you have like credit card debt, um, your house got burnt, you need your mortgage fixed and things like that, I'll do, but not like clerical things like that. That wouldn't really,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
just
and I
to
also
just
want to,
to
on that note, I do want to say I'm not privately helping anybody with their paperwork. I have a freedom school that I'm putting out my information that I've done as information only for you guys to study and learn. So please don't send me. I did have somebody send me their their paperwork. Can you look this over? No, I cannot do that. So so yeah,
Yeah,
so I
I
have
get all
created a
kinds of crazy emails. But just in
free
general, I wanted to
school.
clarify with that because, they
Thank
were
you,
trying to
Tony.
get a service that I didn't think really, that was not part of the services that I was trying to offer.
All
That's
right,
all.
thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry if that was a miscommunication, you guys. So credit card bills and mortgages for Lahaina survivors, please contact Tony. And yeah, okay, let's just do a quick prayer. Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things. You are moving the sun across the sky, running the tides in the ocean, and you're beating our hearts together right now. All of us living men and living women together with one heartbeat that is signifying this world is free, that we are at peace with each other, and that the evilness that keeps wanting to produce all these wars and death and murder and chaos, that it is ending for them, that their time is up, and that they are leaving the planet in a peaceful way, leaving all people, all living men, all living women in a beautiful world that we can be together in harmony with each other and with the land. And we just give so much gratitude to all people who are ready or finding this information, who are courageous enough to just take one step forward, which is just learn and explore this information. Don't take not taking our words for it, but just learning for their own journey, for their own human journey. We give so much gratitude to their guides and their angels that having found this information, and we give so much gratitude for Tony and his journey in his life, what everything that has brought him to this present moment in time. We give so much gratitude for his courage to try things and to see how they work and to open his heart to helping so many people around the world. So, great spirit, infinite intelligence of all things, we know that you hold this game, this simulation called life, that it is working out in the most perfect way for all of us. And we just let go of fear and we just surrender to your guidance, which is our intuition. We give so much gratitude for that. And so it is.
So it is.
Mahalo, Tony, for your time. This was so amazing. I always really appreciate all of our interactions and our interviews because
Yeah,
every single
absolutely.
time I learn something. And so super
Yeah, I
grateful for
just
you.
want everybody to just never forget to just have fun sometimes. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I mean, if just try to have fun. That's all. Just
Yep.
make fun of it.
I love it. I love it.
And there's a
That's
lot of
also
reasons,
a
but
yeah, nice high frequency of joy. We need that more and more.
well, yeah,
All
because
right.
that's what you bring into your life for sure. But I mean, we can get caught up in all the nonsense that we see on TV and things like that, and just kind of freaking forget to actually just go out and have fun.
Hmm. Enjoy each other, laugh, hug.
Yeah,
All right, you
absolutely.
guys. Aloha, much mahalo.